I find Islam a fatally flawed religion, more than other religions, in the sense that it is static. It has remained static. Some Muslims and some Muslim nations have moved on, but the doctrine has remained static. And the individuals who want to go back to the 7th century, who want to have things unchanged within Islam, are more powerful, have more money, are more influential than those who want to reform the religion, those who want to move forward. And I think the flaws that were born with the faith, the treatment of women, the lack of freedom, the pre-medieval way of life, all of those traits of the religion live on to the 21st century because the fanatics influence and set the agenda of the mainstream. Well, what the United States does for those of us who were born into Islam and who now are in America is we are challenged to become Americans fast. Now remember, America is an idea, unlike, for instance, Europe. European nations are formed on ethnicities and class and all kinds of pre-medieval things, feudal thinking, and have evolved and become modern. But America is an idea. The idea is an idea of individual freedom and inalienable rights and a constitution that's written down by men, human beings. Religion in America is respected and widely held, but it's subject to secular law. Muslims living in America are subjected to the same questioning and scrutiny that people of other faiths are. Yes, America is still, I find, too soft on Islam compared to Catholicism, Christianity, Judaism, etc. Too soft. But it's not as soft on Muslims as Europe is soft on Muslims or in Muslim countries. And that, I think, is the beginning, maybe, of where a reformer will arise. Americans can respond to religion, on the one hand, finding a balance between the freedom of religion and the freedom of individuals and human rights. And when I take the subject of the status of women in Islam, I think it's the best possible place to be as a woman. Americans, when I talk to them about honor killings, when I talk to them about female genital mutilation, when I talk to them about the control of sexuality in the name of Islam, are horrified. Some of them compare these practices to what they are already familiar with in the Judeo-Christian traditions and some extreme groups like the Amish and, God, what's the name of the other one? I forget the Amish, and then there's another one, the ones who practice polygamy. Mormon. And the Mormons, yeah, and the Mormons. So they compare to that. But the good thing is, because Muslims in America are still a minority, they get hit with the same questions. Why is a man allowed to have 4 wives when a woman is allowed to have only 1 husband? Why do you kill your own daughter or your own wife and justify that in the name of honor? Why do you force your child into marriage? Why can't you accept female sexuality? You know, these are questions that needed to be asked within Islam. When they were asked by Muslims within, the Muslims get ostracized and they're called infidels and heretics. But living as a Muslim and in a minority position in America, if we continue to ask these questions, then I think the change is going to come fast for Americans living here, and hopefully they'll spread it. Contagion, it'll become contagious, and Muslims in Muslim countries will be forced to think about these things. I see a lot of Muslims today who feel offended by the fact when you say the position of women in Islam is unfriendly, it's hostile, it's bad. As Muslims, they feel offended. They think beating women is a crime, and they say Islam doesn't justify it. But in the American context, well, people can simply read the Quran. When you point out, but look, the man who's beating his wife, he justifies it from the Quran, chapter 4, verse 34. Then they're forced to say, oh God, you know, a dissonance is created. Loving the religion on the one hand, and on the other hand, seeing what the religion justifies. And individuals are then forced in America to make up their minds about what is criminal. Is it what the Quran says, or is it something that you can excuse? Well, the women who come to campuses, to begin with middle class, they have parents, especially fathers, who invest in their own education to send them to schools like this one. And many of them tell me, oh no, but you're a liar, you're imagining these things, you're traumatized, it's your own private, it's things, the way things are in Somalia, this has nothing to do with Islam. And I remind them of the plight of their sisters in Afghanistan, in Saudi Arabia, in Iran, in Egypt, name it, in any Muslim country where they are not living. And why it's not an expression of solidarity for them to be defending Islam instead of the rights of fellow human beings, fellow women. And I get some good responses saying, well, I do want to help eradicate the oppression of women, but I still want to be a good Muslim, and I still respect Islam, and I don't want you to insult Islam. Now, the unfortunate thing, and this is something that I'm going to talk to tonight about the young women who come and talk to women all over the place, is in Islam, every form of criticism that could lead to change is framed as an insult and an attack on the religion. And that's not something that these young women can help. The religion is set, the doctrine is set in such a way that criticism is not welcome, because the founder of the religion, Muhammad, is thought to be infallible, and the Quran is considered to be the true word of God and can't be altered by human beings. So, and reform assumes change. And so if you change as a human being, you're fingering what God has said, and you're not supposed to do that. And that's, again, another dissonance that I hope American Muslims will face in the eye and change. A God that says women can be beaten and raped and hung, to me, that's a terrible God. Well, what keeps me going is the feedback I get from Muslim women who come out, and Muslim men too, who right after having read Infidel, after having seen the film Submission, after having read Nomad, and just after, having allowed themselves to honestly look at what is going on within Islam in their own lives, and who say, you are right. We are at the beginning of a change. I'm not the one who started that change. I'm one of the individuals who benefited from circumstances that were created by other people. And I find it gratifying to pass that on. And that's what keeps me going. And I'm very careful. I try and find my freedom within the parameters that the security people, create for me. In the United States, we've started a foundation named after me, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, and then the acronym of that, AHA Foundation. And we're kind of playing with the Enlightenment, AHA. Mm-hmm. And we hope to inform Americans about the plight of Muslim women living in the United States. We hope to get service providers not only to become aware of what's going on, educate them on why the different forms of violence, the honor killings, the genital mutilation, forced marriages, deporting girls back to their countries of origin of their parents and having them being forced or killed. Try to make service providers aware of that, educate them on that, and motivate them to intervene in appropriate ways. And so I would like to create awareness for the foundation. Maybe young students, people can donate money, time, expertise. That's what we do.